Hi everyone, hello and welcome back to my channel. Happy Sunday. I trust everyone is well. And such a beautiful weather today for those of us in the UK. Please do find time to enjoy the sunshine and get some vitamin D, okay? Right, for those of you who are new to my channel, you are absolutely welcome. And to all my returning subscribers, mwah, I love you. And thank you for always tuning in. Okay, today's video is a follow-on from last week's video. Now, if you haven't seen last week's video where I talked about the things that you need to be aware of in order for you to be able to get a job, okay, so things that you need to prepare and put together to be able to get a job in the UK if you are looking to relocate as a teacher. So please go back and watch that video. I'll drop a card somewhere on this video, so go back and look at that. Now, carrying on, we all know that we need a perfect CV, well, a near perfect CV, because no CV is perfect, okay? But you just try as much as possible to do the best that you can to make sure your CV is presentable. So we all know that we need a good CV to be able to get our foot into the first step of an employment that we're seeking. Now, the second thing that we also need to be aware of is our personal statement, okay? Because these two things sort of work hand in hand. You got a good CV, then you should also have a personal statement to be able to back up the good CV. Now, to be able to write an effective personal statement is a lot of skills, okay? So it's not, you're not retelling all that you've told on your CV, okay? It's basically you are taking those information on your CV and then sort of weaving them into a story. So whoever reads this personal statement should be able to have a picture, create a picture, a mental picture of you, your skills, what you can offer to the organization that you're looking to go into, okay? So it can be a bit difficult to be able to get the right personal statement. It can be difficult, but with practice and when you have a good, solid personal statement, it's just a case of tweaking it and moving things around or adding things around to suit the particular job that you are going for. So today I'm going to be talking about a personal statement for a teacher, okay? What sort of things do you need to have inside your personal statement to make it effective and readable to your prospective employer? Now, the first thing I will say is make sure that you have a very powerful opening statement, okay? Now, this goes for when you're writing an essay, okay? Your first statement is always crucial because it determines if the person will go ahead to read or not, okay? Now, for example, or more especially when you're writing an essay, I mean, of course, your teachers will have to mark your essay at the end of the day, or your dissertation. They will have to mark it because it's part of the requirement. But it sets the tone for the rest of your work, okay? So it's the same for a personal statement. Your opening statement should set the tone for the rest of your personal statement, okay? Now, I will probably start my personal statement with something that is a bit catchy, okay? So something, maybe a current thing that happened or a current news that I linked into my experience or into my own. I started with like, 17 years ago, as one of so many siblings, I never dreamt that I would become a teacher. Okay, so you can start with something that's a big catch, and the person will think, so why did you then decide to want to become a teacher? So you see, you've hooked that into your personal statement. So this is going to be your opening statement, okay? The very first sentence that you are going to write, make sure it's a hook, something that will sort of engage them to want to read more. Then following from that, I would then develop that hook. Okay, so if I use the idea that 17 years ago I never dreamt that I'm going to become a teacher or I did this and that and that, then my next statement should sort of carry on from there to try and develop that hook a little bit. Okay, so I'm not just going to give a hook and then leave my reader sort of hanging there. Okay, so I'm going to develop that hook a little bit more. So I'm going to talk about why I then decided to go into teaching as a profession. So, and then develop that a bit. Or I decided to go into teaching because blah, 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 blah. Okay, so you then spend the next paragraph, maybe a short paragraph, to sort of explain that hook and the reason to why you made that opening statement. And then carrying on from there, you then link the second paragraph to your own life and your sort of your qualifications. Okay, so as part of my as part of my becoming a teacher, I went and I went to teacher training college for so years, and I came up with this qualification. And then in order for me to be able to advance myself in the teaching profession, and I went and I did an MA in the course in teaching training. And during my MA, I looked at this particular area of teacher training or of children's well-being or of whatever, or during my what is it called, my teacher training years, my major subjects were these. I sort of focused on more on this area because I wanted to understand a bit more how children function there. I wanted to understand a bit more how to help children, and then you carry on. So you're sort of weaving in your qualifications with that profession. So why you started that profession, and then the qualifications that you have sort of gotten in order to help you in that qualification. So if, for instance, you had an engineering, let's say, background, but then you decided to go into teaching, then you could say, oh, as part of my advance to my teacher career, my first degree was in engineering, but because I needed to equip myself in order to teach children effectively, then I went and I did a teacher training college for this amount of years, and I came up with so and so qualifications. Okay, so therefore you are showing some of your skills and your qualifications within that paragraph. Now, and again, all of this should link to your teacher training. Okay, so make sure you're not talking about different qualifications that you've done in the past, even if you have, but let it be a link to the profession that you are going into, which is teaching. So let your qualifications link to the profession that you are going into. And then you then talk about your passion. So why, after I finished my teacher training, blah, 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 I went into teaching. And because it's always been my passion to be able to help children, to be able to teach children effectively. During this time, I taught a year 5 class for 5 years. Within this time, I took on some leadership responsibilities. So here you're talking about some leadership roles that you've taken. Okay, now this is the profession you're talking about. Okay, so the things that you have done in the profession. Remember, we talked about the opening statement where you talk about why, sort of to hook your reader as to why you went into the profession. Then you talk a little bit about yourself and about the qualifications that you have gotten in that area. Then now you go ahead and you talk about the job. Now you've qualified, now you are in the job. So then you explain a little bit more what you've done in the job. I taught this class for so years. Within this time, I was a maths teacher and I was able to teach maths to a number of If you have any scenario, maybe a situation whereby you became a maths leader or you had more responsibilities, within this time as well, I also became the maths lead for this year, and within that time I took on more courses to develop my maths leadership roles. So I did this, I did that. So now you're talking about the profession. So what you have done in this profession, these are the skills that I've acquired in this profession. These are the things that I'm able to do in this profession. These are the roles that I have done, or the leadership roles that I have taken, or whatever. So now you're painting a picture about your profession. Then when you've done that, then you then talk about that one's about your duties and your responsibilities within that time, what classes you've taught. If you've taught different classes, mention it. I taught year 5 for 5 years, and then I then moved on to teach year 2. And because so I went into Key Stage 1. Now Key Stage 1 is slightly different from Key Stage 2, so I had to go learn some more skills to be able to adapt and function in a Key Stage 1 class. Okay, so all of that you put it in there. Then finally, you then talk about your own skills. So what sort of skills that you have as a, maybe if you went back and you had to retrain to become a teacher, then you can add that and say, I worked very hard as a mature student. I went back to school with my family. I was able to balance my teacher training and my family together. That is showing some adaptation and some skills there. Okay. I'm very good at planning, or I'm very good at this, or I've been able to manage this business and that, you know. So now you're talking about the skills that you have. You are now bringing your skills into light, but basically you are telling a story. Okay, so it's not that I have this skill, I am good at teaching, I am good at that, I am good at that. No, you are weaving a story. Okay, so you weave a story. If you mention a skill, do well to try and give an example of that skill. Okay, so if you say I'm good at, talk about you're a good team player. Okay, so you can talk about I'm a good team player. In my previous school, I was the mass lead, and within this time I had 5 other people or 6 other people who were underneath in this branch, in this math list, whatever lead team, and I was able to manage them effectively. Even if it's not to do with teaching, but another skill, maybe you are good at organizing things. Okay, so you can say I'm good at organizing events, or I'm good at doing this, blah 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 blah. In my previous career or outside of my career, I organize this, I do that. Okay, so whatever skill that you give, do well to give an example to show that skill. Okay, so let it not be like a list of skills you're giving, but you're not showing example of how you've carried out that skill, or pinpoint exactly when you've done that to show that actually you can do it. Okay, so as I said, a personal statement can be very tricky, but just remember one thing: a personal statement is a story. You are telling a story about yourself, but within that, you are weaving in the right information that your employer would like to hear. So it's completely different from a CV. A CV is you're just listing things. You're listing things, and you're listing out your roles and responsibility. But the personal statement is you are telling a story. And within that telling a story, you are weaving in your qualification, you are weaving in your skills with stories of how you've done that, you are weaving in how you got into the profession, you are weaving in why you stayed in the profession, you are weaving in why you also want to come into the UK to teach, and how would that help you. Okay, so that's something you're going to add as well. So this is why I want to come to the UK to teach, because I believe I want to advance my career. Now this should be your ending paragraph. Okay, I'm applying for this job to teach in the UK in your school because I want to advance my career, and I believe that coming to the UK will enable me to do this in so way. Okay, so that should be your ending paragraph, and then you say, if I'm given opportunity, or if I'm given this job, I will be able to prove my skills, and I'll be able to do well as part of the team to make sure that the best comes out of the pupils or the students in this school. So that is where you also need to then talk about the school or the job where you are going to. Remember, so far you're talking about yourself, your skills, and all of that. Your closing paragraph should basically be about the place you're applying for. Now, please do not leave the same section. That last paragraph should be different for every job that you apply to. Okay, so the other paragraphs can stay the same. If you're applying to the same thing, like you're applying to teach, right? The other paragraph can stay the same, but the last paragraph, you should change it to reflect the school that you are going to. Okay, so you can change the name, or you can put the name. If you don't know the school, you can put the name of the trust, the academic trust or whatever. So just to show some sense of personality, to show that you are actually, you know them. If the friends have they're a Catholic school that you're applying for, you can, and if you're a Catholic, you can mention that, you know, as a Catholic, I will be able to uphold the Catholic rules or whatever in the school. And so therefore, they can also see that you've done a little bit of homework about them, and you're reflecting that in your personal statement. So that's the last paragraph should be one that is flexible, so you can change it to suit whatever job you are applying for. Now, that's not to say that the other bits cannot change. If, for instance, you're going to go apply for to study, okay, now you have to go back and change everything so it suits your study, okay, a study that you're going into, or if you're going to if you're going to a study, so you have to go back and change and tweak things around so that it will then suit whatever it is you're going to. But if you are applying for teaching, then it should remain the same apart from the last paragraph, which should show a little bit of research that you've done about the place you're applying for. So then therefore you are hitting the right notes to say, okay, this person has done a little bit of research about us, and they've included that in the personal statement. Now, I hope this is helpful. Now, I know people's personal statements can be different. Everybody has different personal statements and different experience and qualifications. So no two personal statements should look the same. And please, I also want to say this: do not just go to the internet and copy a personal statement and use that as yours, okay? It's not going to fly. So just remove the names and put your name. It's not going to work. A personal statement is something that is very unique to you. And as I said, you are weaving your life story into that. And so your CV should sort of match your personal statement. There should be certain aspects of your CV that should match your personal statement. So if you go and pluck something from the internet, or you use somebody else's personal statement, and then you don't change things to make it a bit personal, it's going to be very obvious when they look at it, because they're going to look at those two things hand in hand, okay? So sit down, spend time, look. There's no harm in looking through personal statements on the internet. Please feel free to do that, because it will give you an idea of the sort of things that you need to include in your personal statement. Okay, I hope you've learned something, and I hope it's useful. If you got any questions, any comments, leave it in the description box below, and I will attend to them. Now, for those of you who are also asking for CV help, please look underneath my in the description box. There should be a link where you can click to be able to start your one-on-one CV process if you want CV. So please leave your comments, your questions in the description box below, and I will, not the description box, in the comment section, and I will attend to those. Okay, have a fantastic week ahead. Enjoy the sunshine while it lasts, and make the most out of it. And I will see you soon. Bye.